just boys with dreams and fists thrown into fire. No time to resist. Mud on our boots, fear in our eyes, but your voice was calm under shattered skies. When the world turned cold and cruel, you stood like stone, you broke the rules. Through the thunder you were near, fighting back both pain and fear. We were brothers in the battle, hearts aligned through every war, carving hope from broken gravel. When we had nothing, we had more. Not by blood, but by the scars we share. You were the one who was always there. We lost some nights, we lost some friends, but we held on until the bitter end. Shared our rations, shared our prayers, shared the silence when no one cared. Even when I fell behind, you pulled me up, you gave me time. When the smoke erased the sun, you said, hold on, we're not done. We were brothers in the battle, hearts aligned through every war, carving hope from broken gravel. We had nothing, we had more. Not by blood, but by the scars we share. You were the one who was always there. Now the war is over, but I still hear the sound of your laugh when shells rain down. If I could turn and fight again, I'd choose you, my brother, till the end. 'Cause we were brothers in the battle, not just soldiers, something more. Wrote our names in pain and gravel, but we walked out through that door. Not by chance and not by fate, but by the fire we helped create. You were the one who stood so true, and I survived because of you. Walked through nights without a light, with broken dreams and sleepless fights, but you never let go of my hand, even when I couldn't stand. The rain fell hard, the sky turned black, the world kept trying to push us back, but you stood tall and faced the wind, said we don't break, we just begin. And when I thought I'd lost my flame, you whispered we are not the same. We rise, we heal, we don't conform, we walk side by side through every storm. Side by side through the storm, holding on when hearts are warm. No fear, just fire in our eyes. We've survived what others hide. We may bend, but we don't fall. Through the thunder we stand tall. Side by side through the storm, we were born to brave it all. We've seen the worst the world can throw, but somehow we refuse to go. You'd laugh and say this too shall pass, while I broke down like shattered glass. But you pulled me back from the edge with nothing more than love and pledge. You said storms don't mean the end, they just show us who's a friend. Side by side through the storm, hold faced the storm. Side by side through the storm, every scar a badge we've worn. No retreat, no turning back. We're the light when all goes black. We may break, but we don't fade. Every step the price we paid. Side by side through the storm, we became the calm it made. And when the clouds have all moved on, you'll still be the one I lean upon. From nothing but a burning need. Hearts like fire, hands that bleed. The world said no, but we said try. With a spark in our chest and steel in our eyes. We took the hits, we took the fall. Built our truth against the wall. When they drew lines, we crossed them all. Shoulder to shoulder, we stood tall. You and me against the flame. Different bodies, but the same name. Not just voices in the fight. We were thunder in the night. One fight, one soul. Two hearts chasing one goal. Through the fire, through the rain, we turned struggle into flame. No surrender, no control. You and I, one fight, one soul. Every scar we wear is proof we tried. Every tear a truth we never hide. You never ran, you never broke. You lit the path when I lost hope. Through the silence, through the screams, we held tight to shattered dreams. Not just fighters in the dark, we were legends from the start. One fight, one soul. Two hearts chasing one goal. Through the fire, through the rain, we turned struggle into flame. No surrender, no control. You and I, one fight, one soul. Even if the sky falls down, even if the lights go out, I won't lose my way. I'll know you're still there, you're still whole. One fight, one soul, burning bright through every toll. When we rise as one, until the final day is done. No regrets, no letting go. Forever bound, one fight, one soul. One dream, one vow, we're still standing now. There were nights we didn't sleep, wounds too deep for us to speak. We held the weight the world forgot, bruised and broken, but we never stopped. You took the hit so I could breathe. I gave you light when yours would leave. No heroes here, just shattered men, still standing up again and again. Through the fire, through the cries, through every truth they tried to hide. We carved our story in the dust, not just surviving, it was us. We bled together, side by side, through every fall. They called us reckless, said we'd break, but they don't know what it takes to rise with nothing left to give, to choose each other and still live. You were there when I was numb. You stayed when even hope had run. And every scar I carry now is a vow that time can't drown. We bled together, side by side, through every fall, through every fight. You knew my pain without a word. We shared the silence, we felt the hurt. And if I fall again, I know you'd bleed with me, you'd never go. This bond runs deeper than the weather. We didn't just fight, we bled together. And if they write our story wrong, say we were weak, say we weren't strong, let them talk, they'll never see the war we fought to still be free. We bled together like the tide, pulled and torn, but never died. Through ash and smoke, through shattered ground, we rose again without a sound. Not just soldiers, more than friends. We were the fire that never ends. We weren't just torn, we bled together. And I'd do it all again, with your blood on my hands, my friend. I was drowning in the quiet, losing pieces in the dark. No one saw the cracks inside, but you knew right where to start. You didn't ask me for the truth, you just stayed and pulled me through. When I had nothing left to give, you reminded me to live. These are the hands that held me up when I was too far gone, too out of luck. You didn't speak, you didn't preach, you simply reached where I couldn't reach. Through every fall, through every flame, you never once let go of my name. The world gave up, but you showed love with hands that held me up. You found me at my weakest hour, taught me strength was soft, not loud. You didn't fix the broken glass, you just sat with me and passed the time with silence, not advice, but somehow that saved my life. You weren't trying to be brave, you just gave what no one gave. These are the hands that held me up when I was too far gone, too out of luck. You didn't speak, you didn't preach, you simply reached where I couldn't reach. Through every fall, through every flame, you never once let go of my name. The world gave up, but you showed love with the hands that held me up. Now I carry your strength in mine, like echoes held in threads of time. And when someone else begins to fall, I'll be the hands that answer their call. Because of the hands that held me up, I found a way to rise, to stand, to trust. You didn't ask, you didn't need, you gave me hope when I couldn't breathe. So here's my heart, it still remembers that quiet through storms without a map, chasing dreams with shoes worn flat, tired hearts and empty roads, but somehow you shared the load. No words, just steps that match my stride. Through every fall we didn't hide, and in the silence I would find your shoulders always next to mine. Shoulders beside mine through the rain, holding the weight, sharing the pain. When I was bent, too tired to climb, you carried more than just your line. Through the shadows, through the climb, you never left. Shoulders beside mine. The world can crush a softer soul, but you stood firm, you made me whole. With every laugh and every scar, we built a home where we are. You never asked to take the lead, you simply gave what I would need. And when the sky forgot to shine, I leaned on shoulders beside mine. Shoulders beside mine through the fire, lifting me up from sinking mire. When I broke down 1,000 times, you never flinched, you never minded. In every loss, in every line, I found strength in shoulders beside mine. We weren't born for glory's call. We were just two who'd never fall. Alone we'd stumble every time, but you were there, and so was I. Shoulders beside mine, still today, even as time steals us away. I'd face it all, the wrong, the right, if I have you still in the fight. No need for fame, no grand design, just your shoulders beside mine. And if this road runs out of line, I'll still walk with shoulders beside mine. We were just sparks in the dark, lost in the world, chasing marks. You took my hand when I was cold and lit a flame I still hold. The nights were long, the roads were steep. We made a promise we would keep, not just for now, not just a while, but through the ashes and the miles. When the storms came crashing in, you were louder than the wind. Through every fall, through every climb, we stood tall. Through fire and time, through fire and time, we never broke, we held on tight. Through every smoke, even when the years got cruel, we stayed brave, we stayed true. From scars to stars, we chose to climb. We loved, we lived through fire and time. The world changed, the faces too, but sat in silence, laughed out loud, built our hope from shattered ground. And even now, the silver lines, you're still with me through fire and time. When the light began to fade, you were the voice that always stayed. Through every war and every sign, we kept walking. Through fire and time, we never broke. We held on tight. Through every smoke, even when the years got cruel, we stayed brave, we stayed true. From scars to stars, we chose to climb. We loved, we lived through fire and time. Some bombs don't burn, they rise instead. They live in every tear we shed. And when the last bell's final chime, they'll still hear us. Through fire and time, through fire and time, hand in hand, we crossed the wild, we took a stand. Even when the story ends, you'll still be more than just a friend. You're my forever, sealed in rhyme, unshaken love. Through fire and time, no turning back, no. We never spoke of all the pain, just laughed it off in summer rain. But underneath our quiet smiles were broken roads that stretched for miles. You had your shadows, I had mine. We hid them well beneath the shine. But when the silence filled the air, you reached for the scars we share. Scars we share, not made in vain. Lines of love drawn through the pain. You saw the wreckage in my eyes and never once asked me to lie. We bled alone but healed somewhere in the space between the scars we share. The world was loud, we made no sound, but in your gaze I felt unbound. No need to fix, no need to mend. You didn't try, you chose to stand. We spoke in glances soft and slow. In every scar you seemed to know that I was more than damage done, and you the moon behind my sun. Scars we share, not made in vain. Lines of love drawn through the pain. You saw the wreckage in my eyes and never once asked me to lie. We bled alone but healed somewhere in the space between the scars we share. The scars we share. Maybe we're stitched with thread unseen, stories hidden in the in-between. But Somehow, in the darkest stair, we found our light through the scars we share. The scars we share are silent proof of every fall, of every truth. You never ran, you never turned. You held the lessons that I'd learned, and now I stand because you care, because of love and the scars we share. We may be cracked, but we're still there, bound forever by the scars we share. Can turn cold in a blink, leave you standing on the edge close to the brink. But even when I lost my way, you were the voice that chose to stay. You didn't let me drown alone. You built a light, you made it known that no matter how dark the night, I was never alone in the fight. Never alone in the fight. You were the fire in my fading light. When I was crawling through the pain, you stood beside me in the rain. I didn't win by strength or might. I made it through 'cause you held tight. You gave me hope, you gave me sight. I was never alone in the fight. I had my doubts, I had my fears, but you were louder than the tears. You didn't fix the mess I made. You simply chose to never fade. And every war I had inside, you faced with me, you didn't hide. You bled with me without a name. You stood through every flame, never alone in the fight. You were the fire in my fading light. When I was crawling through the pain, you stood beside me in the rain. I didn't win by strength or might. I made it through 'cause you held tight. You gave me hope, you gave me sight. I was never alone in the fight. If I fall again, I know wherever I bleed, you'll go. Through every shadow, every scream, you are the root beneath my dream. Never alone in the fight. You turn my wrong into a right. where the ground was shaking, hearts loud but slowly breaking. You never asked if I would stay, you just fought beside me anyway. Smoke in our lungs, fire in our veins, counting the losses, bearing the strain. But through the fear, through every blow, you held the line, you didn't let go. You stayed until the war was over. When others ran, you pulled me closer. Not for the glory, not for the fame, but for the bond that had no name. Through every night, through every scar, you stayed right there just as you are. You held the weight on your own shoulder and stood with me until the war was over. We lost some friends, we lost our peace, but we never lost our belief that even hell would pass with time, as long as your hand was in mine. We weren't soldiers made of steel, we just refused to break or kneel. You said, this pain won't take us down, we rise or we go down proud. You stayed until the war was over. When I gave up, you fought me sober. You lit a fire inside my chest when I had nothing but regret. Through every blow, through every cry, you never once said goodbye. You held the line, you pulled me closer and stayed with me until the war was over. Now the silence hits too loud, the battlefield is just a cloud, but I still hear your voice so clear. We made it through, we're still here. You stayed until the war was over. My fiercest friend, my truest soldier. No medals shine, no banners blue, but I survived because of you. And if the fight returns one day, I'll stand again, I'll find my way. 'Cause I remember what you stood for, you stayed with me until the war was over. And even when the battle's gone, your strength in me still carries on.